What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we got the Morgan Stanley 12th annual Laguna conference. It will be starting in exactly 2 minutes. During that time, I'm going to mute myself and then we'll kind of pick it back up afterwards. Based on previous kind of conferences, it could range anywhere from about 15 to 30 minutes, maybe even extend it a little bit further. But Morgan Stanley's been doing a lot of these fireside chats and they typically stick to around 20 minutes. So just so you guys are aware for some context, but generally, Lucid's been doing somewhat okay. Today's, I think, a little bit of consolidation due to maybe some negative news possibly, but aside from that, no official stuff has been coming out. And based on the success of the tech and manufacturing day and all the ratings as a byproduct of that, honestly, if Peter comes out with the same momentum, I think that should be generally good for the stock price going into tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see, but yeah, I think hopefully bigger and better things are coming. And then obviously I don't think Morgan Stanley, this whole conference does have video. It is just audio only. So
Peter Rawlinson, CEO and CTO of Lucid. Thank you for joining us. We have Maynard and Goggin also in the audience to help answer your questions and throughout the day in their meetings. I spent most of a good chunk of the morning with you on Tuesday in Casa Grande. I pronounce it Casa Grande. Everyone else there calls it Casa Grande, but I don't know. What do you call it?
Well, I've learned to say it like the locals.
Yeah,
Casa Grande.
Yeah, Casa Grande.
I think it is an aberration.
It's
I think
okay.
Spanish is Grande.
It's okay.
You're very correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm such a linguist.
Yeah.
But I mean, the plant is immaculate. You can literally eat off the floor. It's got hundreds of beautiful robots, a super modern paint factory, amazing technology. You spent a lot of time showing off the powertrain technology and how electricity is distributed and moved around the car and powers the vehicle. You know, besides the software, it really was kind of tour de force of the technology that you bring.
Thank you.
To the table. You know, you don't win awards like you've won without having real stuff. You clearly do. But I kind of like to think that the technology kind of gets you into the across the velvet rope, maybe into the club. But to get to the VIP room, you got to get your costs down.
Yes.
And I think you and your team have also emphasized that as well. So. Obviously, the volume's what, 9,000 units. You're smaller than Ferrari in terms of unit volume right now, and you got a plant that's built for a hell of a lot more than that. So walk us through some of the key messages, and as we kind of go from Air to Gravity to mid-size kind of that journey.
You're quite right. So the plant is in the process of being built out to 90,000 unit capacity. Will be very soon. And we've indicated we intend to build 9,000 Lucid Air this year. You're absolutely right. So our trajectory is all, and our costs and our finance are dominated by long-term investments for the future. You saw that with a degree of automation, technology, and process technology, robots, and vertical integration, both of stamping right through to Wunderbox, electronics line, making our own electric motors, and the battery pack we're famous for. So all of that, but we've really got a four-step process for growth. First of all, we need to improve our brand awareness to grow our sales of Lucid Air. And that's coming on nicely. We've just come off the back of a record Q1 and a record Q2, and we're heading very nicely and very pleased with the way Q3 is going. We actually outsold 23 numbers by the end of August this year. So that's going well, and it takes time to build a brand. So that's going nicely. The second step, of course, is getting the Gravity SUV, Lucid Gravity SUV, into production. That's scheduled for start of production late this year, and hopefully we'll be able to make an announcement about that in more detail very soon. So watch this space. Then we've got the big one, which is the mid-size platform coming in, and that's scheduled for production late 26. And to that aim, we're currently building out another plant on the other side of the world in Saudi Arabia, with an installed capacity of 150,000 1,000 units. We've laid the foundations for that. We're currently in the process of erecting steel. So that's where mid-size platform variant will go. We're also going to put a variant into Casa Grande in Arizona as well. And then beyond that, and that will give us some serious scale. I mean, the vision is I want us to be making about 1 million cars a year in the early 2030s, 31, 32, somewhere around there. And mid-size will enable us to do that, I believe, at a price point of about $48,000, $50,000.
What are the benchmarks for that?
That's unashamedly Tesla Model Y, Model 3.
Do you have Chinese benchmarks for that? And would that million envision a Chinese contribution, or more of an independent of China?
That's yet to be determined. We recognise that is the big prize in terms of market, but the competition there in that marketplace is absolutely brutal within China.
So again, going back to cost, from the steps from Air to Gravity, midsize, you're making enormous reductions of bill of material costs. Aside from volume, how do we think about that journey? Let's say, I mean, I don't know, I'm thinking your BOM costs would be going something like from maybe $150,000 a unit thereabouts to, well, obviously well below 50 if you want to be profitable. How do you take $100,000 out of an Air into a Gravity, for example?
Right. So there's the easy bit and there's the tough bit. And so the easy bit is what everyone does, which is just building a car with 4 wheels on. And I think there's almost too much emphasis put on that an EV is so different from a gasoline counterpart in that respect. I mean, clearly we've got a software-enabled product. That's what our car is. But they've got 4 doors and they've got 4 wheels and they've got 4 seats, and whether they've got a steering wheel or not is another matter. But
I'll take you over on steering wheels.
Right. Well, let's assume that for the time being. But to start, I mean, that's ostensibly the easy bit, building a car. Where our secret sauce and our superpower is the cost of the powertrain, because we've got a technological edge which we can convert to a commercial edge. Because the cost of, particularly when you go to a family car, the cost of the bill of materials, that's all the parts to build that car with, is dominated by one thing, and that's the battery pack cost. Over 40% of that BOM, bill of material cost for a family vehicle, is battery pack. And there's no internal combustion engine equivalent for one single item having so much contribution. And that's where our tech really plays its role, that we can go further with less batteries, and that means considerably less cost. And that's where our tech is a cost enabler. That's why we're doing that. That's why we built this company, to really push down the cost and attainability of EVs. Paradoxically, whilst we're in a luxury space at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, again, the tech advantage is clear. You're one of the most efficient EVs, or in many metrics, the most efficient.
We are,
4.7 miles per kilowatt hour, and I think you touch 5 in some of the versions.
Yes, Pure is now, we were 4.74, and we recently were announced 5.0.
Okay, so just at a high level, you think that kind of the innovation catalyst of trying to solve for battery technology that gets you there, and in addition to the Aero and then the other design features, that can leverage into a cost advantage because you can have smaller batteries.
Totally.
Would that be really small? So then, are we then going to then see the number of kilowatts in the vehicle reduced?
Not only we going to, we are already, because our entry level, the one that's super efficient, with 5 miles per kilowatt hour, the Air Pure rear-wheel drive, it's 410. This is in production today, 420 miles range. So it's got more range than any competitor, and it's doing that with an 84 kilowatt hour pack, which is very, very small for the class of vehicle it's in. Take Mercedes-Benz, the EQS, it's 108 kilowatt hours, much bigger and significantly less range.
So you think you can have a cheaper battery than a Model Y?
Oh, yes, yeah. And so, I mean, my view of the car of the future is with a more mature infrastructure for charging, cell chemistry, which is more accommodating in terms of charge rate and charge cycle time. You could see if we could get to the holy grail of, say, 6 miles per kilowatt hour. And you could have a 240-mile range car with just a 40 kilowatt hour pack. Just a 40 times the 6 and gets you to 240. And then that's a tiny thing. And that really opens up a whole raft of opportunities for building an affordable car. Just the size of that thing, it would fit underneath the front seats. Much lighter, you wouldn't need big brakes. All the suspension links could be smaller. Everything gets more.
EVs are way too heavy. EVs are way too heavy right now, right? I mean, you're going to look back and.
That's the problem. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it pains me.
Yeah, especially your racing background and pedigree and Lotus and stuff. I mean, you know. Anyone driven a Lotus, by the way? Do you own a Lotus right now?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, they're pretty fun.
I've had one since I was 21.
Okay, all right. You're a
Same
fan.
one.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're living the dream. Chinese EVs.
Yeah.
Peter, are they any good?
I think they're amazing. I think they've come on leaps and bounds. It's quite shocking. I was looking at some very, very recently, and they're right up there. Shocking cost effectiveness. I don't think they're there technologically in terms of their core EV competence yet. Where they're really great is user interface, and certainly if you look at some of the ADAS features and the ADAS visualization, you know, with the mapping they've got, that they do mapping systems, 3D visualization, and the fusion of 3D maps with surround view awareness, situational awareness of the vehicle within its sensors. So you fuse this world of maps, overlay it, and you put the car in that map. Is absolutely awesome.
So again, maybe when you're at the price points you're at now with Air, perhaps the Chinese are not the most relevant benchmark, which is why you like to show earlier this week, for example, the Germans and some of the Tesla vehicles. But as the price points come down, I think it's fair to assume that the Chinese benchmarks become more relevant.
Oh, totally. As they get better as well.
So which companies and/or models would you say are in that kind of forward benchmark as you mid-size?
There's NIO, there's Xiaomi, there's BYD. There's a whole bunch of them, and there's a whole bunch that I keep learning about that didn't know existed before. Okay. Even I can't keep up.
All right, let's move to the licensing opportunity. Aston Martin, kind of. Any other discussions or other opportunities that there are on the horizon?
There are, and really Aston opened the door for discussions with other automakers. And I've long said that's part of our business plan, but really is the icing on the cake, because you can never tell. It becomes, the decision becomes a third party's decision. But I think that as time progresses, there will be many traditional car companies who recognize the inexorable road to pure battery electric, and they're going to miss out. And we could offer them a real lifeline.
Gravity, start of production late this year.
Yeah.
Maybe an update soon.
Yes, indeed.
But I don't know. Remind us how much overlap there is between Air and Gravity. Well, and I know there's a lot of vertical integration too. So, but there's always some new suppliers and systems.
So. There's in some areas there's a high degree of overlap and economy of scale, in others not so. We decided to go for a completely new platform to make it a proper SUV. That's why we're not going to have too much product overlap, minimize cannibalization from Air to Gravity, have key, really true product differentiation. That was important. But with things like the powertrain, there's a lot of carryover. The motors are very, very similar. A lot of the software's very similar. Battery pack about 95% the same. Modules the same. Subtle changes to architecture. Little things like gear ratios in the drive units. The wheels are a little bit bigger. We want more off-road tractability, so have slightly lower gear.
Still 900 volt.
Yeah, 924 volts. Yeah.
924 volts.
Yeah. Highest voltage I'm aware of in the marketplace.
That's my understanding as well, Peter. So remind us then the price points.
Yeah, well, actually, people are surprised. Air is now available from $69,900. A pledge I made 4 years ago, in fact, and we've honoured that. We envisage Gravity being from a price point just below 80,000 at some stage. I'm not saying we will launch with that variant, of course.
We'll launch higher than. You said 80.
Our launch vehicle is highly likely not to be that entry-level vehicle.
I'm just throwing this out there, kind of like what Rivian R1 is right now, or R1S is in that 90, low 90s kind of thing. R1S, R1 is, their volume is fairly modest. Certainly, well under 50,000 a year. I don't know if that was a benchmark here. And again, you offer features and things that are very different. But I'm just thinking through the eyes of the consumer, because there's not a lot of choice for electric, multi-passenger vehicles. This is, in this case, 7-seat type vehicle.
Yeah.
So who would it be unfair to say that the R1S and even maybe the Kia EV9?
EV9, yes.
Is unfair comps?
No. I think these are interesting bookends. I mean, we put an array of competitive vehicles on display when you were present on Tuesday.
Yeah, I saw them.
And that lineup comprised the Porsche Cayenne, which we think is a great benchmark for ride and handling, although that's a two-row. There was the BMW iX, the Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV, and the Rivian R1S. Absolutely. I mean, I'm watching that EV9, which is not there, but that's selling kind of 3,000. Again, its first year in the States, about 3,000 a month. Customers seem to love it. I'm just thinking, what kind of volume at that price point, or how are you thinking about bookending the volume? I mean, EV9,
because we do have a large plant there.
EV9 can creep up into the close to around 70,000.
It can, yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
So that then is not that cheap a car.
Right.
I think our offering is far superior. Well, you expect it to be. And we've got a much roomier, more efficient and practical interior, and much more luxurious.
Just 𝗲𝗓, but it really feels like the Gravity is the step to the new platform, but then the kind of launch pad to midsize. I think to really fulfill the volume ambitions.
Yeah. So
is that wrong?
Well, no, I think that absolutely, it's a big step in our volume. We're looking at a total addressable market about 6 times that of Air, we believe. And I think that the key with Gravity is I think it's going to be an absolute landmark, seminal product. It's got revolutionary packaging, and that's only enabled by our advanced technology, by miniaturizing the drive units and making things super efficient. We've got far less batteries there. We've got about 120 kilowatt hours or so of batteries. Some of the competitions are literally double that. So we've got a much better people package. Actually, inside the vehicle, we've got it's 3-row, 7 seats. And actually, the leg room is an inch greater inside than a long wheelbase, big, traditional American SUV. And yet, on the outside, the Gravity is only a couple of inches longer than an Air. So it's eminently usable in a metropolis.
Yeah, the midsize, I think that's going to be a big determination as to where we go here.
Indeed.
On the capital needs, remind us your liquidity and cash runway.
Yeah. Well, we have sufficient cash runway to see us through into the fourth quarter of 2025, as we say it. We're at a capital-intensive stage of growing the business. We're making long-term investments for the future. And I've been very transparent, Adam. We're going to require some extra capitalization, and we'll do so at appropriate entrepreneurial moments. But I mean, you look at the investments we're making. You've seen the factory in Arizona, state of the art. We've got up to 90,000 unit capacity.
You front run a lot of the CapEx
there. That is in. Just look at stamping. This last year, we've been paying for trucks, bringing stampings in. We've been paying for scrap, and we've been paying to build that damn thing. All those 3 costs now go as we go into 2025. We're going to build it and make everything in-house. And so also we're building out the factory in Saudi Arabia. Then we're investing in continuous improvement on Air. Big software upgrade came just on Monday, which was very well received. We're going to be really known as a software-focused company, as a tech company, with a software-defined vehicle. We've got an Ethernet architecture. We're one of the very first to put that in. We've had that in from the start. Others have only recently got accolades, but actually we were there originally with a data superhighway and with great over-the-air capability. We're also invested so much in the tooling and launch now Gravity. We've also got a huge team effort running right now on design and engineering of the midsize.
Yeah.
And half and half powertrain is on midsize now because we've announced the Atlas powertrain program. So these represent, 5 different areas of significant capital burn. And this is all a long-term strategy that's putting us in great stead for the future.
And midsize also north of 900 volts?
We haven't disclosed that yet, but it's inevitable it's going to be a very high voltage, yeah.
Okay.
The right voltage is high.
Okay, but the way you answered that is maybe not 900.
It might not be.
And is that for cost reasons or just relative to the performance expectations?
It's going to be a multi-dimensional decision. I mean, for example, Sapphire and GT run at 924. The Touring runs at 756 volts today, and our Pure runs at 672 volts. So we have an array of between. They're not all over 900 volts today, and for a whole range of quite deep technical reasons for that.
And I get all else equal. If you had one vehicle, and maybe this is an impossible question, forgive me if it's a naive one, but if you had, car A had a 924 volts, car B had 500 volts, what is the cost differential? How significant is that? Are we talking the single-digit thousands? Are we talking something close to 10,000? I didn't know.
Generally, if you've got high voltage, you can have less metal, less copper, because you've got less current. You trade voltage for current. Double the volts, half the current. And it's the current you need the metal for. So you can actually reduce cost. It's just like having a 48-volt architecture. You have less copper in your low voltage.
Some trade-offs.
But that's right. But really where it matters is to have the high voltage in your high voltage system, not have your high voltage in your low voltage system. And that's what we've gone for. We've gone for 12-volt low voltage, but 900 on a high voltage, which makes more sense.
All right. We're going to talk about software too. Now, let me just pause for a second. Any questions for Peter from the audience? Has anyone not driven the Air out front, by the way, too? Yeah, okay, maybe I should ask. Who has driven it? Okay. Anyone care to share their impressions? Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you.
Pretty fast. Pretty fast. I don't know what version it was. I don't recall. Yeah, it's pretty bonkers. That's cool.
Thank you.
You're a controlled company, Saudi public investment fund in Saudi Arabia. Beyond capital, okay, because I talk to investors that say you can never have too much capital. You can never, the auto industry will always spend, you never have too much. Do you agree with that?
I think there's a prudent amount of capital. I believe the right way to build a business is to show growth and performance and demonstrate the value that you bring your shareholders, and then go for a prudent amount of capitalization, which is a balance between future investment and dilution for the existing shareholders. So I think there's this staircase where you trade the security of more capital with the enemy, which is dilution.
So beyond money, how else has PIF helped the strategic position of the company, in addition to the Aston?
Hugely. I mean, they've added a sense of stability around us that we're here to stay. There's a huge credibility. They placed an order for 50,000 vehicles, up to 100,000 vehicles through the Saudi government. They opened doors. They enabled a $3 billion accretive package, incentive package for us. It made sense for us as a business to undertake the first car plant there in Saudi Arabia. And look, we're long-term partners here, which really transcends a normal mere financial.
No, you're a part of their strategic, their vision, the 2030 vision.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're a cornerstone of realizing their bold vision, which is a beacon of light for the world, actually, for the quintessential fossil fuel economy to have the foresight to transition to a solar electric type of economy. I think is the right way to go. I really do, and that's what's nice about this, because we're mutually incentivized for success.
Okay. But making cars in Saudi, having a Saudi partner is one thing. Making cars in Saudi is another. You assemble them, and you're increasing the local content.
We're doing it right now, yes.
But there's not really the developed supply chain. Maybe I'm wrong, but tell me, like, how do you? That takes time. So if you're going 150,000 units in the factory, the full blown out factory, kind of how would that? What would that local content be? How would you describe it versus a normal, to the extent there's a normal plant in Casa Grande or in Europe or something like that?
Well, ultimately, it's a chicken and egg situation. What happens first, the car plant or the supply base? And you can't have one without the other.
You have to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere. But remember, right now, we haven't got a lot of stuff that's localized in Arizona. Sure, we're near to Mexico, and we've got quite a number of suppliers there.
You're quite close to Mexico.
And that's handy. There's no, but if you're looking at getting cells, say, from the Far East, getting them to the shores of the Red Sea to a deep water harbor, it's probably easier getting them into inland Arizona, realistically. So where we are in Saudi Arabia is in the King Abdullah Economic Center, and that's just north of Jeddah, really on the banks of the Red Sea. So you're right alongside a major world trade artery there.
And how do you get world-class automotive talent to live there?
It's all about making the environment really, really attractive. And you know what? We've got great local talent there, building the cars with great pride. And there are female workers working alongside their male colleagues there in Saudi Arabia. There's a generation that really wants to work and putting pride in their work. And I'm really proud and pleased that we can be just a small catalyst for that change. You know?
Okay, that's great. So one of the messages, again, a lot of the tech that you put on display was around the movement of electricity in the car, and then the movement of the kinetic and electromagnetic forces, your motor, your battery. It's very impressive. You trying to emphasize the software, and you do have great software and a software-defined architecture. I don't think it's appreciated much.
No, it isn't.
And perhaps, I think some of it was, you said there was some self-inflicted execution around it. So tell us then, you know, if you're going to be in the EV business, it probably means you're going to have an AV strategy. Maybe not a full robotaxi. Let's keep the steering wheel on for now.
Please.
Thank you. We're talking to purists here.
We're alive.
But like, you're going to have, you know, it's going to become table stakes to have the level 2 plus system at some point, probably. We can debate the capabilities. So what is the strategy there? How much do you need to vertically integrate versus, you know, work with partners?
Well,
or is this currently a referendum?
The sad thing is we're not really known for our software, which is really not representative of what we're about. We've got world-class software in terms of our battery management software. We wouldn't be able to go over 500 miles. We're the only company that gets over 500 miles range here. We've still got 100 miles more range over everyone else today with a car that we brought out 3 years ago. That's how good our battery software is, our motor control software. We've got the Sapphire. The performance of that car is very much a function of its traction control, getting the power down. Power is nothing without control. And, you know, 1,000 times a second, that power is modulated to the tires, all with our own in-house software. And we're making our own HUD, augmented reality HUD, and that's developed entirely in-house, and that's going into the Gravity, the most advanced heads-up display in the world. That's in-house development from the team that created the most advanced lighting and all the technology and the software for that in-house that you see in Lucid Air. So we've got incredible world-class software that you don't see. That people think, oh, that's the batteries that gets you 500 miles. Believe you me, it's a lot of that is software. The motor control, the blending of the response of the pedal. It's phenomenal, and how the regen comes on. That is so seamless and so natural, intuitive. That's all done in-house. What we haven't got great, and not well known for it, it's a mea culpa. We need to do better. We need a better infotainment system and user experience. And actually with the ADAS, it's not just so much the ADAS, it's the way the ADAS is graphically represented.
Yeah, how it involves the, like I say, I have a Tesla, FSD's gotten better, but I've gotten better faster than I think it has. I know when not to use it, and part of it is understanding the information it's giving.
Yeah. So exactly that. So I've made sweeping changes to the team. I've empowered people who've been with me for many, many years. I've personally taken a lead on this. And words are cheap. So although we've got a roadmap, and I showed the roadmap, Adam, on to you and others on Tuesday, I was adamant that we got one of these iterations over the air out the day before. We did that. We got 2.4.0. the Oz release of software, and that was very well received, and it's seen as a major step up. And we're on that roadmap now. Next 6 to 8 months, you're going to see us change and really be known as a software-defined vehicle, a software-defined tech company. And the way that our ADAS system is going to be integrated, we're going to have a level 2 hands-off system. I'm promising that by the end of this year. And it's just going to be relentless feature release upon feature release.
Is this in-house?
Absolutely, extensively in-house. We're moving, even our OTA delivery now is fully in-house. So systems that were co-developed are transitioning fully in-house, and our lane tracking, lane centering, the lane change control, that's in-house, and it's going to be. We're transitioning to, I wouldn't say fully in-house, but 99%.
Does this materially change your capital intensity of the business?
No.
Some of your competitors are spending billions of dollars on compute.
No, I've got a great team. It's just now we've made leadership changes. They're totally motivated, and they're on it, and they're determined to be world-class, and they're working like crazy on being that.
Okay. You said power is nothing without control.
Yes.
Sounds a lot sexier the way you say it than
really?
my accent. I don't know. It's good. That's good. If I went to my wife and said power is nothing without control, she'd be like, get the hell out of the kitchen. Thank you very, very much. All right. I appreciate that. Thanks for spending time with us. All right. You got it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, abruptly ended. Okay. Honestly, I think Peter did fairly well. He answered a lot of the good questions. You can kind of see, I think 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 mentioned it in the chat. You can tell when a analyst is really trying to target the individual. And so whenever someone brings up capital, instantly you know it's like, okay, they're trying to find some faults. And actually, if I'll listen back and the transcripts, but I'm pretty sure it was brought up twice on capital. But again, Peter answered it, in my opinion, very well. Very conscious about investors, because he did state that like you need a good balance. You don't want to have too much cash, because then that results in dilution, and he didn't say it, but it screws over investors, right? So honestly, I liked it. It was good to see him more self-aware of just how things are, just not, hey, yeah, we're moving to China. So he did state that, in case you guys missed it. It was like one of the first things that he said is that they're not going to be really looking at China in the foreseeable future. Too much crazy demand out there. And you know what, honestly, that's good. I'm sure they can always figure out a way and just export it there, right, through AMP2. Another thing that I really liked about the analyst, again, I don't know his name, but he was trying to say, well, AMP2 doesn't really have any like good resources around it to really help with production. And Peter just said simply, like, AMP2 doesn't. Like it's probably faster and cheaper to export to AMP2 for the batteries than AMP1. So honestly, I think it was good. Peter's a little bit more confident. Faisal, I think Faisal had a good question that he did mention. Inventory of production parts. Yeah. No, I think the only other thing that really stood out to me, it was very, very finite, but he said, because we still don't really know the price point of the Gravity, he said the initial one will be, future models will be tried to target below 80,000. This one he mentioned, I think he used the words slightly above. So we still don't really know exactly the price point of the Gravity. Of course, once reservations and it's a full launch, we'll find out. But because remember, I think for the tax, the credits, you have to be 80,000 or less. So I think that one will be also a very big thing for the Gravity, because if it comes in at like 85, for instance, I don't think it qualifies. It has to be lower than 80. Open to the road, yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's a quick summary. Nice, short, sweet. Didn't really do, actually no, it kind of recovered a little bit. So it's up after hours. But then again, after hours is relatively quiet. You see a very big wall at that 92 anyway. So yeah, I liked it. And hopefully Peter does keep up this good momentum, because I think over the last like month and a half, they've done like 2 interviews, 1 podcast, 1 conference. He's really ramping up on the marketing. So clearly the market likes that, right? Like we got 4 new analyst ratings just from that tech and manufacturing day. So this one, I didn't really see too much that analysts would get kind of really get hyped over. Investors can get hyped over a lot of stuff that they said, but Youssef, fasting is absolutely a beast. Like, just so you guys know what Youssef mentioned. So I'm trying this thing, like this 72 water fast. And so it's first day was kind of hard. Second day, I'm on day 2. I've already dropped, like, I'm not overweight, I'd say, but yeah, I dropped 5 pounds in 1 day just drinking water. So yeah, water fast is kind of a lot of dedication. Yeah, Mullen squeeze, you are right. He did state that. Plus, I think it was on this article right here, if I remember correctly. Talks on the deliveries. No, sorry, wrong one. This one. They talk on how they've already delivered more in 2024 than in 2023 in its entirety. So that goes to show they haven't disclosed any numbers yet, right, for Q3, but that shows that they've delivered at least 1,700. So when we start to speculate, because end of September will be the end of Q3, right, we'll be able to speculate has to be at least greater than 1,700. So hopefully it's around 2. And last earnings, they said Q3 was actually going to be like a point of a slump. And honestly, 1,700 isn't all that bad for them considering it as a slump. So I like that one. Yeah, Mullen squeeze. Yeah, I think this, somewhere in this article, he said mid-sized platform. So that's good. Price under 50,000. So I think Vladimir, I think you posted saying, why aren't they doing like a half-size battery and all that other jazz? I think that's going to be incorporated for that. Mid-size is going to be really good. Really good. Yusuf, yeah, Peter is not good in... Yeah. Well, Peter would be really bad at poker, because I'm pretty sure everyone would know as soon as he like stutters at all, then it's like, okay, this guy's BSing right now. Or it's not just BSing, it's just not comfortable. So that's Peter's tell, is when he starts stuttering. If he speaks confidently, then yeah, you could tell something, he's speaking real talk here and he's comfortable. And that was pretty much 90% of the whole tech and market manufacturing day, was him just very confident. And that's a nice change of events, because a lot of people are very familiar with him during earnings. And he, especially the retail pose questions, oh God, that's interesting. One thing actually, I don't know. It's no like it's not anything bad, but it'd be really good if the CEO drove a vehicle. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but the analyst asked Peter what he drives, and I guess it's a Lotus, which obviously is good, nice car. But it'd be really nice if he himself said, "Yeah, I'm driving a AGT or something like that." That would be really nice. But whatever, it is what it is. Can't really hope for that. Yeah, Youssef. You know what? To be honest, I think what was it, Lucid Ocean or whatever his name is on Twitter. He said that Lucid's going to be participating on something on the 13th. Doesn't list that anywhere under Lucid's website, as you can kind of see. So this is all the full events. So there's no event listed for the 13th, although he said that they're participating in that. So I think that 𝗖𝗧𝗛𝗧 is going to speak, because typically he speaks at those kind of events, and they're never really listed. So we might have some more info tomorrow. And I really like 𝗖𝗧𝗛𝗧. He's on point, no BS, says it how it is. So yeah, Youssef, I agree. But yeah, all in all, I'll do another video maybe afterwards once market closes, just to go over exactly what is happening and what shorts did and everything. But at the time of this, they did increase 2.24 million shares. So obviously, no doubtably, they did add a lot of downward pressure today. So not really new information there though. But don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Appreciate all you guys kicking it with me for the Morgan Stanley 12th Annual Laguna Conference. Hopefully, again, there's more of these. But yeah, if not, you guys have a good rest of the day. I appreciate you guys all joining. Thanks, guys.